Hey, welcome to the first episode of my new series, especially targeted for you, for sim racing beginners. I'm very happy to see you here, that you decided to click on the first episode of this new series. So, let's start this adventure together. What do you say? The reason why I decided to do this series is actually I've been starting with sim racing myself a couple of weeks ago, thanks to all this global situation. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. And I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos. I watched a lot of streamers. Tried to get as much information and learn as much as possible. But it was really tricky because many of the sim racers out there are so much more ahead and experienced that it was really a hard time for me to understand all the information and use all the information for myself to get into sim racing and enjoy the experience. So I thought to myself, um, why don't I just share my own experiences, my learnings, what helped me the most, what I discovered from what I like to call myself a more experienced beginner's point of view. And here I am, showing you how to start, and I hope this is helpful. I'm doing my best. Let me know in the comments any feedback, anything you want to know, anything you want to say. I'm really looking forward to that. So, you decided to get into sim racing. I think the most important thing you need to know about sim racing is that it is a lot of fun, but it is maybe absolutely different to what you might expect. So, how do you get into sim racing? What do you need? You need a wheel, you need pedals, and based on my experience, you need a proper seat. Now, this doesn't have to be like a racing seat or something very professional, but I started with my office chair with wheels on it, and every time I pushed the brakes, I was pushing myself back. So find a chair without wheels. And get yourself a wheel and pedal set. Now, I don't want to get deep into any bias recommendations there because there are really great buying guides out there, but I will just give one recommendation. I got the G29 from Logitech and I'm very happy. It's a fair price right now. You can get it online on various dealers or maybe at a shop near you. Just order it on Amazon. Maybe you even get a used one near you. Who knows? Plug it all in, install the drivers, take a seat, and pick a game. In our case, the game I chose to get started was Assetto Corsa Competizione. Why did I get this game? Because it just looks absolutely amazing. It's incredibile, and basically I discovered it by accident. I was looking up like the most popular games like iRacing and Race Room, and they all either had like extra costs for cars or I don't know, didn't look so good. So I'm a guy who really appreciates good looking graphics and good looking games. And I saw Assetto Corsa Competizione, the first trailer, and I was like, wow, I need to give this a try. So I basically just bought the game with the DLC and headed out on track and into new adventures where I've never been before. So this video series is obviously just around this game. So you plugged everything in, you want to get started. We start the game. We land in the main menu. So the first thing you want to do here, set up your driver profile, put in your name, your nickname. You can customize yourself, give yourself some colors, but that's it. Pretty simple. This is just for tracking your in-game rating, your stats and everything. So this is what you want to do first. You head back into the menu. You want to go to options. Set up the graphic video settings the way your hardware can deal with it. This game is really hungry. So if you are not sitting on like a new computer system with like an RTX 2070, 2080 in it, tone down the graphics a little bit. Don't go to epic settings, try high settings or medium settings. The game still looks really good in these settings, but if you want to have a really smooth experience, select the appropriate settings for your hardware. And the next important thing, of course, the controls. If you have the G29, it will look like this. Check if everything works. Push the throttle, push the brake, push the clutch, shift up, shift down, cool, everything is recognized and set up, and then force feedback. This here is your only connection to the car and to the game. You don't feel it down there when something goes wrong, you just feel it in here. So we want to have this set up to have the best, not necessarily most realistic, but the best experience to react to what the car is doing. Now I got these settings from Aristoteles. He is one of the developers from Kuno Simulazione for the game. Greetings to Aris at this point. He had a really cool guide on the best settings. So I just used them. I really like them. I recommend you just set it up like that. Stick with it. It will help you a lot. Most importantly, watch out for the brake gamma being 1 and steering linearity 1. And the other settings like this. You can save this preset so it never gets lost. Go back to the main menu. And here we are. For the first adventure, you of course pick single player. You have various different modes. You have 2018 season or 2019 season. If you bought the DLC, you have the GT challenge. It doesn't actually really matter what you pick. Just look through it. You will see different teams, different tracks be available each year or each challenge. I picked the DLC with the Continental GT challenge. The game mode you want to do first is practice. So you select practice. I recommend just go with 12 o'clock high noon. It's the easiest to get a taste with best lighting. Track. Now there are a few tracks who are more popular when you're heading to multiplayer, which is for example Silverstone, Nürburgring, Spa-Francorchamps, Monza, I think are the most popular ones. So pick one of those that you want to learn. If you really want to go with something completely different because you always wanted to drive on Brands Hatch or on Suzuka, please feel free to do so. I recommend a shorter, easier track with not so much technical sections or complicated turns and combinations, for example Monza. And then, most importantly, the car. There are so many cool cars in this game from the Blank Paint GT challenge. Pick the car you just like, that looks awesome to you, that you always wanted to drive. Maybe you have watched GT challenges before and you saw a car in the team and you felt like, wow, I wish I could drive that. Pick it, now is the chance. The reason why I say this is because there's not really a absolutely incredible good car or an incredible bad car in this game. Everything is very well balanced. They just drive and feel completely differently. And one car might feel more natural to you and another one maybe not. So that's why, first of all, you pick a car that you like. And if you start to notice after a few laps or after a few hours of racing that it doesn't feel very natural to you, you pick something different. I would even go so far to say, pick the car you like first, but then try every other car. You will immediately notice after a few turns or a few laps if a car is not for you. I can guarantee that. I experienced that on my own. So, in our case, I really love the R8, so I'll pick the Audi R8. We are not going to mess with any customization right now. We basically want to drive. So, we pick the car, we pick the team, we confirm. We want to set our realism. And as a bloody beginner, make it as smooth as possible so that you can focus on just driving and getting to know the car. I recommend setting the damage to 0. Set everything else like this. Last corner disabled, we don't really care because we're not racing. Weather conditions, this game has awesome weather conditions, but for the beginning we keep it clear and no dynamic weather to don't run into troubles. And the assists. As a beginner, as starter, you want to have the gearbox on manual, of course, because you want to learn shifting. Keep the rest on automatic, keep the stability control always off so the game doesn't mess with your driving. Ideal racing line. If you've never even raced on a racetrack or don't know how it feels and want to learn a track from 0, I recommend you have a visible ideal line, because then the game indicates with a green line where you should stick to. This is not always the quickest line, as you will learn later on in your progress, but in your first few hours I would recommend on a track, especially when you just started with the game, to keep the ideal line visible. If it's too irritating for you, you can always turn it off. But let's start with these settings. We set everything up. We're good to go to start our session. Most important rule, have fun. Second rule, do not compare yourself to other drivers. There are so many drivers out there that are all faster than you. There's always someone faster than you. In the beginning, this does not matter. Never compare yourself to any other driver. So, with this in mind, before you head out on track, you click on Setup, and we are not going to mess with the setup. The only thing you do is click on Save, and then you immediately go back. This will set the car up in a way that it makes it as easy as possible for you to, you know, drive the first laps without worrying too much with a really smooth handling. Then you click drive and you land in the car. Since everything's set automatic, car is starting and you can take it in. The awesome graphics, haha. But you will notice I'm not only sitting in my car, there's lots of thingies on my screen. So what is it? On the top in the middle you see which mode you're on, what the time is. Top left corner is your lap time. Bottom right corner is actually the more important thing. The 4 green little thingies are your tires, which show the temperature. The blue-purple thingies are your brake discs, front and rear. The colors will change depending on temperature. So once you start driving and get temperature in the tire and the brake discs, they will start to become a healthy green. If they are running too hot, they will become yellow or red. Next to this, you have the fuel. You have the laps with the amount of fuel you still have, and you have the fuel per lap that you consume. And next to that we have of course the RPMs. We see the throttle response when we push the throttle. We see the brake response when we push the brakes. In those bars for throttle you see the traction control which is set. You see in brakes which ABS you have set, and the brake balance, which is all in the setup in the car. So don't worry about that. And you have speed and the gear that you are in. So we are in neutral, 0 speed. We put in the first gear, and with this you're basically ready to drive. One other thing that you might notice is in the top right corner, strange numbers. Maybe it says something different for you, like drive consistent or do this or do that. This is your rating. Assetto Corsa Competizione has ratings for different things like safety, car control, track medals and stuff like that for the multiplayer mode. This makes sure that they can sort the drivers based on their skill. So this is then one of the first few quests, if you want, to improve your ratings and collect track medals to be able to drive later on in multiplayer mode. But I'm going to explain this more in one of my next videos. So for this video, this is actually it. We have the most important settings. We can head out on track. And as I said, take it slow and basically just have fun. Enjoy the experience. Do a first few laps in the car you selected. Do not focus about lap times or having a perfect line or following the green ideal line perfectly. Just enjoy it. Take it all in. Look at the track. Look at the environment. Experiment with your pedals. Push the throttle. Push the brakes hard. Shift up. Shift down. Take in what the force feedback is doing. How does your force feedback behave when you turn quicker into a corner? What does the force feedback do when you go on the curbs? When you leave the track, drive through the grass, through the sand. Try every little detail that comes to your mind. It absolutely doesn't matter what happens to you in the first session. Doesn't matter if you crash or whatever. Damage is off. Nothing can happen. Don't pressure yourself. Just enjoy it and experiment it and try it all out. If you notice after the first few laps that the car, I don't know, doesn't maybe feel natural to you or feels strange, quit the session, pick another car, take it on the same track. And I would actually recommend you do this with every car. Maybe not with every car, because there might be cars that you're just not interested in. So just try it out with those cars that you're interested in, just to have comparison, and maybe find another car that feels more natural to you, because it doesn't really make sense if you want to pressure yourself into driving with your car just because you think it looks great but it feels not natural to you. So to make it easier for you, try out different cars and pick the one that feels best for you and your current driving skills. And that's actually it for the first episode. For the next episode, we will dive a little bit deeper then into what is the ratings, how you start practicing to do more consistent laps to get a little bit faster, to find your braking points, how to go through the corners, just get into a regular pace, find a rhythm and improve a little bit. So for this I would really ask that you find a car that you like and that you can drive, that you want to drive, that feels natural to you, so that we can continue in the next episode and that you have an easier time to put it all into practice. I hope you enjoyed the first episode. Please, if you have the time, just let me know in the comments how you liked this episode, if there's anything I forgot, if there are any wishes, specific feedback or questions for the next episode. And I'm really looking forward to see you soon. Have fun, enjoy the game. Let me know how you're doing, how your first steps are going in sim racing. And don't forget, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great day. Take care. Boonatix out. Bye bye.